The Newberry Library exhibition, Mapping Outside the Lines, showcases how map makers have developed a wide variety of lines to bring our world to life. The exhibition features dozens of diagrams, drawings, engravings, and lithographs, the majority from the Newberry's map collections, which number in the hundreds of thousands. Mapping Outside the Lines is free, open to all, and runs through February 14th, 2026 at the Newberry Library. For more information, visit newberry.org. Make sure you stick around after the interview for a quick conversation sponsored by the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events about the annual tree lighting in Millennium Park coming up soon. Today on CityCast Chicago, don't believe what anybody got to say about it. Chicago is and has always been a fashion city, right? We are the definition of cool, fly, and we know how to put that ish on. And you ain't got to take my word for it. I'm sitting down with one of my favorite local designers. It's Thursday, November 13th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. If you have ever seen a video or picture of me on social media, the chances that I was dripped down in something from a Chicago designer is very high. In fact, one of the most recent videos I did, I went up to Wrigley earlier this year to kind of talk with some Cub fans, and I got a lot of compliments on my fit. And most people didn't know, from my pants to my hat to my jewelry, all was made by Chicago fashion designer Ron Louie, who is in the building today. Welcome to CityCast Chicago.
Thank you, man. What an intro, my boy. Walking Billboard.
I appreciate you, man. I have obviously been following your journey for well over a decade. You and I went to the same high school, even though we were in different classes, but kind of give me a little bit of your background. How did fashion become like your medium, the place where you express yourself in this city?
Kind of like fate, you know, going back to my earliest memory and just being a meddling kid, going into my like parents' closet, just trying to see what they had to play with and stuff like that. I have a vivid memory of a sewing box that my grandmother owned, which I still have today. It's super old, like wooden box, and it had a lot of like trinkets and needle thumb protectors and marbles and just different threads and stuff in there. So like fast forwarding to high school, I took an art class and I was just trying to get like an easy A, and it was a girl that I liked at the time that was in there, and she transferred out. So I went to my counselor, and I was just like, man, art is just too easy. Like,
I'm trying to be in clothing construction.
So I go to clothing construction, man. He was like, it's all girls in there. I was like, that's fine. And I was a class clown, play too much, just hyperactive kid. And this was like my first memory of my teacher ever like pulling me to the side and saying like, hey, you actually are really good at like sewing. You should probably take it seriously. So I kind of like took that seriously. We did our first project of like doing pajama pants. We had to like source the fabric, cut it, which I didn't know like that was a part of like the process of making garments. I never like truly paid attention. I just thought we go to the store and just buy the pants, you know?
Uh-huh.
I got like obsessive with like that, and also just remembering the tools that was in my grandmother's box, and just, I don't know, it just felt right. But after I made the pants, I gave them to my best friend at the time, and I fell in love with like her being one, like surprised that I made something from scratch, and like to the service aspect of it, where she was just like, you know, smiling ear to ear, like, I'm going to wear these all the time. I just like kind of got obsessive with that feeling.
Mm-hmm. So it's very clear your journey has a lot of connections to your upbringing, to your family, whether it's the box you found from your grandmother. Your love for like denim deconstruction comes from, you know, seeing your father, a truck driver, coming home from the road. You've had partnerships with Coach, which is an homage to your mom. You know, as a Chicagoan, as somebody from, you know, the South Side, South suburbs, like, how does the city play into the narrative of your work as well?
I grew up in a rough neighborhood, to be honest. The Allgale Garden area. Then we moved to like across the street to this neighborhood called Eden Green. And like to be quite transparent, my family members and my dad was just gangsters. So a lot of their lifestyles and the things that I paid attention to from style and like the way that they just carried themselves like translated into, I guess, the storytelling that I do today.
Can you talk about some of those examples of like what was your earliest like conception of what Chicago style looked like? Because at least for me, coming up in like the mid 90s, it was a lot of starter jackets and leather coats, Averex or Pelly Pelly, like a lot of sweatsuits.
Yeah.
Like that's what I remember. A lot of that sort of being driven by like Bulls nostalgia, like Dynasty. Well, what do you remember from your childhood of like what like those staples of Chicago style and fashion were?
Honestly, those same things that you mentioned, like that's what I have on my father's side. He has mostly sisters. It's six or seven of them, and I have one uncle, and the rest are like my aunties. So I paid attention to their style a lot, which was a lot of furs, a lot of like just like blending between streetwear and upscale at the same time. So I got to see that like really early coming up, where like my auntie may have on like Gucci and these starter track suits at the exact same time. My mom wore a lot of different like retro Jordans and track suits. And she wore a lot of gold. We wore a lot of gold. Just again,
Hey, getting
coming
that
from
first gold chain on your birthday
man,
it was a rite of passage.
rings. I mean, like we had all type of stuff. We was technically hood rich, so I'm coming from like that mentality, like big time drug dealers, like being able to give us whatever we wanted. I was wearing cowboy boots, Crocs, whatever. Like thinking back, it's crazy. Like dang.
100%. Now, for a lot of people, you have a sort of signature, and I think about that sort of glacier tag, right? That
Mhm.
sort of that Ron Louis blue is what I've been calling it, and the tag is like it's sort of an exaggerated long sort of baby blue tag with the RL on it. I know me when I'm wearing my custom jeans, I flip it outside
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
kind of hang down the jeans so people can see it. How do we get here?
Yeah, it started out from me wanting to end a brand at the time that was called Farrah. And things were slowing down, to be honest. It was like right before COVID. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do some sneakers to just give these away to the people that like support this last release of this brand that I'm ending. And in between that, when I got to work, I was getting ready to actually quit and go to LA and style for my friend who was working with Nike e-commerce. And before I can get like my sentence out to say that I'm going to quit, my manager was like, "Ron, we got Air Force Ones in the back for $10 because the store got bought out by another company. It was just trying to get rid of SKUs." So I counted the shoes in the back. I'm like, it's gonna take me like 2 or 3 weeks to get all the shoes because I can only get like 6 pairs at a time. I do that. I post the shoes. They're going viral on like Twitter, but it's an abnormal amount of notifications that I'm getting. And I looked at my phone and it was like a retweet from this page that said like Virgil Abloh. At the time, I'm thinking it's like a parody page. The I is really a one. Like, there's no way it's Virgil retweeting my stuff. And it was also emojis that I couldn't see because I never update my iPhone. So it was just like three question marks. So I'm like, whatever, I put the phone back in my pocket, but it's steady going off for like an hour straight. I opened my phone and sure enough, it was actually Virgil who DM'd me a few other names, a Laylee May, and a couple other like people I always wanted to work with. So just to fast forward a bit, I remember that like pure moment of like giving something away for free and it being successful is something me and Virgil talked about before his passing.
For people listening who the name may be familiar, Virgil Abloh, of course, passed away in November of 2021, founder of Pyrex. Off-White was the artistic director of Louis Vuitton for a bit. And it's cool to kind of hear where this color comes from because it's dyeing these shoes. And you did too. You had the canary yellow Air
Yeah,
Force
yeah,
Ones, which I
yeah,
own. You did
yeah,
the high top icy blue Air
yeah.
Force Ones, which no one I knew could get their hands on. It was too big time at that point.
Because I was trying to do like a Chicago blue,
It kind of, in some ways, looks a little like the Chicago blue in the flag.
Yeah.
It also looks like the Chicago blue in the CityCast Chicago logo. You tweak it a little bit, so it's a little bit different, but it definitely feels like the spirit of Chicago is in the color.
Yeah. So I was trying to like go for that, and then I just started like playing with different colors, getting obsessive with like the light blue tint, like this like tint that we have here. I guess it reflects off the lake. Like I see it on the buildings all the time. So it's just,
you see it on the architecture tour a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
You see it sort of flowing from, like, I think about the Jeannie Gang building, the St. Regis Tower.
Yeah.
And it's that blue that you've kind of captured in your work.
And yeah, it just kind of took off from there, and it took a life of its own. And then COVID happened, and we raised like money. I don't know. It's just like a reminder to me of pure intentions, homage to Virgil. And then also it's a color I use to like signify and celebrate specific things that I want my audience to pay attention to.
Christmas always comes early around Chicago, and if you're already dreaming of snow, Paramount Theater in Aurora is here with the holiday cheer. You know, snow, snow, snow. You don't get it yet? Well, how about this? Irving Berlin's White Christmas is playing from November 12th through January 11th. It's the beloved story you know and love from the classic movie, done with that Paramount flair that makes it an unforgettable experience. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're in for a great time. There's going to be epic dance numbers, spectacular costumes, pageantry, spectacle. I mean, come on. You know, the best things happen while you're dancing. The best things happen while you're dancing. Irving Berlin's White Christmas is a family favorite that can bring generations together to celebrate the magic of the holidays. Get your tickets today at ParamountAurora.com. When you're dancing.
You know, when most of us want to learn a new language, it's not because we're dying to memorize grammar tables or ace a quiz. It's because we actually want to speak it out in the real world with real people. And that's what Babbel is great at, getting you there fast. Hey, it's Michael Zibiak, Chief Revenue Officer here at CityCast. My daughter's a senior in high school, and after graduation, we're taking a father-daughter trip to Spain. And right now, my Spanish is, let's just say, very high school level. Shout out to Senior Patty from Syosset High School. You tried. When we're in Spain, I'd love to do more than just ask where the bathroom is. I want to be able to chat with locals, order tapas, and actually connect, not just read the menu and point. So I'm starting with Babbel. It's all about small steps, big wins, and it's super easy to fit into my life. Honestly, with how busy things get here at CityCast, I love that Babbel's bite-sized, 10-minute lessons fit right into my day, between meetings or over my morning coffee. I'm excited to pick up some real-world Spanish before we go, so we can experience Spain like locals, not tourists. Doesn't that sound better? Right now, Babbel's got a special deal for our listeners. Get up to 55% off your subscription at babbel.com/citycast. That's BABBEL.com/CityCast for up to 55% off. Rules and restrictions may apply. Gracias and adios.
Guess what? CityCast has some news. I'm Sean McPherson, the host of CityCast Twin Cities.
And I'm Jane Sihu, and I'm the host of CityCast Seattle. Hey, if you have a friend in one of our cities, can you text them for us?
Yeah, something, simple like, hey, how's that rash doing? And do you listen to podcasts? Because I have one you're definitely going to like. After that, tell them that CityCast has helped you become more informed, more involved, and more connected to your amazing city.
We're going to help that person you know in Seattle who's been trying to make friends.
And we're also going to do that for that guy you only kind of knew in college who moved back to the Twin Cities after graduation.
Don't we all have that guy?
Yeah, and usually that guy is named Todd.
So did you text them yet?
Jane, let's just wait a minute. We don't want to rush anybody. We'll do a little small talk. How's everything going in Seattle?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fall leaves popping. How about Twin Cities?
Today, beautiful and sunshiny in St. Paul. Okay, Jane, I bet they are done texting by now, and I just want to remind them, hey, you, please tell that friend to subscribe to CityCast Twin Cities or Seattle, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or if you don't want to text them and you're really just on Instagram sending them DMs all the time with like funny videos, send them a DM of our latest videos. You can find us at CityCast Twin Cities or CityCast Seattle on Instagram. Thanks.
Something I want to kind of hit back on in that story, like right before you kind of select this color, this homage to Chicago and Virgil and to the work that you're doing, you're existing in that moment where you're thinking, you know, I've done everything I could do in Chicago, right? And when people talk about fashion and music and performing and just sort of hitting the pinnacle of their industry, oftentimes they are looking at going to the coast, New York or LA. And when we talk about fashion, right, those are places that are considered fashion hubs, from LA's skateboard, streetwear culture to New York's sort of high fashion week. Like, do you still feel like that's the case? Is Chicago a fashion hub in the same ways as those two cities?
Yeah, I think just the difference. I feel like most like major cities have their own sense of style and fashion. I think the difference between a New York or a LA and like specific cities is like industry infrastructure. I feel like Chicago, since I've been blogging, which was like, that's how I got my start maybe 15 years ago, I feel like it was something bubbling and moving towards like opportunities in that way to set up infrastructure. I kind of made the decision with my team locale, who do print production and a lot of my sourcing and a lot of my design work, set up shop here and was like, it's wide open. You know, we can be what we wanted to see. And like, it's a longer route. It's just a lot of hard work, but the reward of that is has been honestly amazing. Just because we operate, we travel, we connect with different vendors and like source the best manufacturers that we can and offer those resources to Chicago. And it was something like, I remember like making that decision as I was coming up, like, yo, I want to be what I wanted to see when I was rising. Cause like, I look at it in this way, like if I put all this work in and let's say, quote unquote, make it to some other kid that's trying to come up, if it's as hard as it was for me, for them to do the exact same thing, then it's like, I don't know, I kind of feel a way about like the work that I'm leaving, where it's like, it should just be a little bit more easier for the next person. So that's why I'm here too. And also Joe motivated that as well, because he's a person I look at that's doing something successful, and he was able to still maintain himself in Chicago. Like Don C's still here, Benjamin Hager, there's a few other like mentors of mine that's still in Chicago. They just a little low key, or not everybody know what's going on, but you kind of have to move like that here. But
they be around the world, but they always come back home. You know, it sounds like the biggest challenge is like maybe the lack of infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like you said, some of that backbone. What is the biggest thing helping Chicago designers? What do you think is our biggest asset?
Man, just being transparent from like my perspective, I think that like island feeling, you know, like our influence, like since we lack the resource and we lean into those limitations, like a lot of us create things that are very innovative or just different. It just feels different because it's not like oversaturated from like, oh, this is how this needs to be done. There's almost like no map for us to make it out. So we kind of like come up with anything like possible. We use that Chicago finesse and like add it to our art. And yeah, I don't know, it blends like these weird different styles. Even the segregation plays a part too. So like just the culture of Chicago, I can see like, oh, you from this side of the city and this is how you interpret in, let's just say avant-garde, you know, or this is how you interpret in streetwear, you know, it's hyper focused from your side of town.
Let's get a little specific there. What are those hallmarks of Chicago style that you can, whether they're from the west, south side, right, north, like what are those things that you grab, whether it's the pieces themselves, the textures and materials people are using? What are those hallmarks of Chicago style for you?
The use of Silhouettes, it's very hard because I'm like paying attention to so much stuff. But it's like a just a dash of ghetto, if I can just say it. That's in the art. No matter like how the artist is positioning themselves, like the ones that's really interesting just have that little dash of like seasoning within their work where it's just like, okay, there's a street element that's within this, whether it's again like a silhouette of something, the way the pocket is hanging, a drop crotch denim like Sheila Rashid, the use of like studs in specific garments, the use of leathers, pellies. I just see it translate. It's very hard to like you would have to be here to really like translate it or show it. I have I need like specific photos or designers, but yeah, I could just always see that like Chicago street element like peeking through.
Yeah, what I appreciate about the things that I've purchased from you is that there's also a sense of comfort in the pieces that you create. And I feel like that's something Chicago has in our fashion bag, that we like to be. I'm gonna steal one of New York's words, but we like to be cozy. We like to be fly, but I think comfort is built into that. Whether it's the shoes we use, a lot of people like Chicago do hoodies, I think, with a level of kind of sophistication that other people don't do. And it's all season hoodies. We got summer, spring, fall, and of course the winter hoodie in Chicago. Like people are really thinking about how do we make people as comfortable as possible. Things that can move from the train platform to walking down the street to in the car or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I mean, that's implemented in the design decision as well, because we are working city, working class, blue collar. It's like, all right, what can I wear to be comfortable and also fly? That's definitely implemented in the work. I used to have to walk to work from Randolph all the way down to the 900 shop. So it was just like, yeah, it's like unconscious decisions you make. Well, I want to make sure that this hoodie is warm enough, but also like if I take it off, what lives underneath it.
You just released Bound Blue. It's this Jesus piece that you, Clint, kind of came together and designed. And I'll drop a link so people can see a picture of it. And I'd like to think this is probably your most expensive piece to this point, the thing that you've made, or one of the most expensive things you made. And so I wonder, especially when we think about art and fashion, there always seems to be this relationship that as exposure grows, as the person gets, more, that like the pieces become more expensive. I think about Lauren. Like I used to be able to afford all of Lauren's art. I can afford like 20% of it now. Like how does accessibility and still making things that your original audience can buy and have access to, how important is that to you, even as you gain sort of notoriety and popularity?
Yeah, it's like super important. Again, I just think about that like high to low experience I had growing up and also catering to that. And, there's an ongoing thesis that I have now that I'm not ready to share with the world, but it'll all make sense in due time, where there's this connection between dissatisfaction and then luxury. There will be pieces that's, considered high end or like expensive just based on like materials. And we still, for me personally, I still charge like the lowest amount that we can charge and like still make money. But it is important to even just have like celebratory items around like these extravagant releases, whether that's like, we worked on like keychains, we worked on like t-shirts and just like different things. And also like giving people the options to also change the material. Maybe it's not like the white gold that we use to showcase. Maybe it's just a silver situation, or, we're working on doing micros and minis, and maybe we can do versions of stainless steels. And then at the end of the day, it's just some stuff that's not for everybody. Just like some people just don't want, a $250 cut up sweatpant. It doesn't make sense to them. Where they're like, what? Why would I,
Why would I do that?
Yeah, we creating like novelty items, dice, and just different things to give people different entry points to be a part of this thing. So it's just fluctuating prices. I don't see myself ever being a person that's just having like just all high end like $1,000. Nah, I'm always have product that, or a product that people can like have an entry, access point to.
We've talked about some of your mentors, some of your influences, some of the other people doing amazing work around the city. If you had to talk about your kind of Chicago fashion Mount Rushmore right now, who are those people who you are really inspired by, who you are following, who you want to put our listeners on?
Oh man, so many. Just off the top, Benjamin Egger. Also, he started a blog company with Virgil. They were good friends, and he actually found my work on his own independently. And then we found out later that we were tied to V, and it just made our relationship even better. Definitely follow Joe. I put like Joe and Vic Lloyd and those other guys in like one, because
Rello and
yeah,
Dez, like everybody from behind
yeah,
Fat Tiger Workshop. I cried
yeah.
when they closed down.
Like they movement was just, again, just that idea of like, I don't have to go anywhere to like make impact. It's this chick named Chelsea B who does crochet.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
she's ill. I like how innovative she's been with crocheting.
Yeah, Chelsea B. I have seen crochet heels. She has done full dresses, things that look like bubble coats. She did a bike earlier. Like what was it, like 2 months ago? Oh, it looked so crazy. It was so cool.
Like soccer ball covers, like this.
I want some shoelaces from her.
Yeah,
just give me some
that'd be
shoelaces,
dope.
G.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Casper, he's in Tokyo now, but he was somebody that I paid attention to. He was very, very like Comme des Garçons like style. Very technical designer. There's this kid named Jackson. This kid named Jordan Family has a brand. It's so many people.
It's a huge Mount Rushmore. You got about 6 Mount Rushmores. I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I like just pay attention to. Because again, just having that blogger background, being a fan of fashion, I'm just always in the know.
Couple people on your list that crossed over. Obviously, the entire Fat Tiger team, like you mentioned. My closet is filled with Joe. Any Rello t-shirt that come out from Rello Gallery or Cherry Mountain Arts, I get. Then you also mentioned Sheila Rashad, who has designed some amazing pieces. I think about Angela Brantley. The partner of Hebrew Brantley, and she's out here styling, Jamila Woods and Eve Ewing, some of our favorites who've been on the show.
Fashion Geek Zoe was a pivotal too. Like, okay.
Olu from Progression.
Yeah, he doing his thing. Yeah.
Boy, them Macy Jimisons, them Bessie Coleman joints. Nah, they did their thing over there. Obviously, we can keep going forever and ever. But if somebody wanted to go out in Chicago and maybe pick up some of these pieces, because we live in an age where you can reach out to people directly. A lot of stuff is done online. Are there any any shops or stores that you still like to go into, browse and shop in yourself?
No Trade is a shop that me and my fiance go to often, and Sovereign has a beautiful store if you just like looking for inspo in general. And those two stores stand out. I'm always at Don's shop just because of our relationship and like speaking to him about just different things and getting some game. That's Don.
Don runs RSVP Gallery.
Yeah.
Which it's moved in the last couple of years. I went to the new location recently, or the newest location recently.
But them my top three.
A place that I've appreciated, I've gone in a couple times, a little vintage shop that I've been able to get a few pieces, Apricot Vintage in Irving Park. Was able to find a Mighty Ducks starter jacket that I've been finally able to bust out in the last couple of weeks. Tough. I got a Space Jam shirt from Leaders a couple of weeks ago. Shout out to Ellen Ma. Ellen is another Chicago designer. I know she recently partnered with Lala during the summer and designed some of their merch.
Oh, you put me on.
I still like to pull up on some of the old hats like Leaders and St. Al. Just kind of check in and see what they got going on.
Yeah. I visit. I still check in and visit. But
what's a piece of advice for aspiring designers in Chicago? What do you want to see more of? How would you kind of motivate people, who are trying to figure out how they get to where you at?
I think just like really try your hardest to not compare. Oh, I spent so much time like honestly hating, like really just like hating on like people getting opportunities instead of like focusing on what I'm crafting and like finding myself through the work. Like this is the advice I would give myself. Like just learn how to like stay focused on, what I'm building and figure out and learn who I am through what I'm trying to communicate through whatever medium I'm using. It's very tough because it's so personal to you, but don't take like too much personal and listen for those critiques that make you feel something where you like, okay, there's some truth in that. And like being humble enough to accept it and maybe apply it and try and change things. Like I got lucky enough to start out doing custom work, so I got to see what like people actually wanted. It was a lot of stuff that I made that I wouldn't personally wear, so I got to detach myself from it early on a service aspect. So by the time it was time for me to, show and share the vulnerable side of who I am, I was already like thinking of this is for service of others.
Chicago fashion designer Ron Louis. Man, I really appreciate you making time for the podcast.
Of course, man, anytime.
As promised, we got a quick conversation with D-Case about some holiday events popping up around the city real soon. Take it away, Simone.
Hey, it's CityCast Chicago executive producer Simona Licea here with Neal Heitz, the program director of event production at D-Case, which is the city's Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. Hey, Neal, welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So you are back today because Chicago's annual tree lighting ceremony is around the corner. People might be getting some deja vu. You joined us around this time last year to talk about the ceremony, but for folks who may not know, can you give our listeners a little background and history on this Chicago tradition?
Really exciting tradition here in Chicago to bring a tree that is found somewhere out in the Chicagoland area to Millennium Park. We have it beautifully decorated with lights, and the base of the tree is created and decorated in a really fun way. Bring a whole bunch of people down to Millennium Park, Michigan Avenue on November 21st. And we have a wonderful program planned at our stage, and then we light the Christmas tree.
So where did this year's Christmas tree come from? What's the story?
Yeah, this year's Christmas tree came from Glenview, Illinois. It's a 68-foot Norwood spruce tree. It's a big one this year, Simone. I'll tell
that
you.
Sounds really big.
Yeah, typically the last few years we've been averaging around 45, 50 feet. So this one, this is a big boy. It's a little bit bigger than what we've had. And I think it's going to be really, really exciting for people to see when this thing is all lit up.
So as you said, there's going to be a really big crowd, lots of people in Millennium Park along Michigan Avenue. Do you have any tips for making sure that, people can actually see the tree get lit on the 21st?
Yeah, get there early. The tree lighting typically takes place at around, let's say, 6:15, 6:30. But do not wait until 6:10 to come down and think that you're going to be able to get anywhere near the tree, that you'll be able to see it. You want to have that memory of the moment that this year's 113th Christmas tree is being lit, that you arrive in Millennium Park, around 5:30. This will give you a good time. You should enter on Monroe. I would give you that pro tip. On Monroe, between Michigan Avenue and Columbus is where I would enter the park. That entrance has the most entry checkpoints. They get people in the fastest there. And then once you're in the park, you can sort of make your way down to Michigan Avenue through the park, because Michigan Avenue will be closed off between Randolph and Monroe. So if you can make your way through the park, then down to Michigan Avenue, that's going to give you the best chance to see the Christmas tree, which gets lit at Washington and Michigan.
So have a map also, I think, might be a tip. Remember all the crossings,
Yes.
all your streets around there. Are there any changes to the tree lighting ceremony that we should know about this year?
Every year we have a different program, and we have a real diverse set of artists that are going to be performing. The stage will start at about 5 o'clock. Little DJ warm up, and then we'll really be underway by about 5:30 with just a really interesting, diverse, unique program, set of performances to see and check out, and just to sort of get you in that holiday spirit. You know, if you just came down and somebody just turned a tree on, okay. But, you know, really having the build up and the momentum and some great holiday cheer, along with, you know, a special guest on the stage to wish everyone some ho, 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 and all that good stuff. It sort of gets you in the spirit, right? And then our goal is to get the tree lit by about, let's say, 6:15, 6:30. There'll be fireworks that go off at the top of the rooftop of the cultural center, and just really a really warm, fun, and pleasant time.
Are we revealing the special guest, Neal?
I mean, I'm just saying, you know, if we had a chimney for him to come down, you know, then it'd be a little easier.
Well, speaking of, what's some other holiday programming that DCASE has planned for this year?
Millennium Park Ice Rink also opens the morning of Friday the 21st. So starting Friday the 21st and continuing on through February, the Millennium Park Ice Skating Rink will be open and free if you have your own skates. We do have skate rental available. There's also lessons that you could sign up for, ice skating lessons that take place on Saturday and Sunday. We will also have the Millennium Park sing-alongs that take place in Millennium Park at the Bean, Friday, December 5th, 12th, and 19th. Sing-alongs begin at 6:30 p.m. They usually last an hour. But the one thing that I forgot to mention, as part of the tree lighting weekend, Simone, we do have the holiday market in Millennium Park. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, from noon to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday, the holiday market is going to be in Millennium Park, big white tent on the north end of the park. That'll have well over 45 artisan vendors selling a whole range of really interesting and unique, some of the one-of-a-kind kind of items for purchase.
Well, Neal, thanks for being here. The tree lighting ceremony starts November 21st. You know, the lighting itself at 6 p.m., but get there early, and fireworks will follow. And you can find out more at chicago.gov/holiday. Neal, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Before we get out of here, some good news. Check out the 4th annual Frankie Knuckles Festival going down this Saturday at the Land School off 72nd in Dorchester from noon to 8 p.m. They're going to have some great DJs in the building, including Raven Wright, Control Zora, and the legend Dwayne Powell is going to be in the building closing things out. I'm going to drop a link for you in the show notes. And also, my homie Ron got some hats out right now. They going fast. I'm going to drop a link to supplylocal.com where you can check them out. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow, sitting down with some friends to look back on some of the biggest stories happening this week. We'll talk to you then. Peace.